Hey guys, Coach 2K back with another video. In this video, we're going to lay out the concept for my NBA 2K MyLeague series. And this is going to be what I call the League of Legends. So I'm going to go through each of the teams. I'm going to say my team for last. And so if you're new to the channel, click subscribe and the like button. Any comments below would be great. So here you can see I'm in the relocation tab for NBA 2K's My League. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with the Atlantic Division. And so I'm actually going to, now technically I don't know that you have to move these cities. You could probably just rebrand them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move the cities too. That way if there's any cutscenes that talk about what city they're in, before the games, it'll be realistic. I'm going to put them all in downtown. So the first move is we're going to move the 76ers to the Bronx. And we're going to change their team name from the 76ers are now going to be called the Boogeymen. So let's change them to the Boogeymen as opposed to Boogeyman. And while I'm at it, I'm going to check the abbreviation, so that's the way I want it. It's going to have the city name there. We're not going to do logos just yet. Alright, so we're going to keep those changes. And so the next team we're going to go to is Boston, and we're going to change Boston. We're going to leave Boston in Boston, but Boston is no longer going to be the Celtics. Boston is going to be the Boston Big Feet. Alright, the abbreviation is the way I want it. I'm going to keep those changes. And the next town we're going to go to is New York. The Knicks. We're going to leave the Knicks in New York. But we're going to change the Knicks. Are no longer going to be the Knicks. They're going to be the Yetis. So we got the New York Yetis. And New York is abbreviated the way I want it. Alright. So we're going to keep those changes. And the next team is Brooklyn. So we're going to go to the Nets here. And we're actually going to move them. When you do more than 3 teams, you have to enable online saves. So we're going to do that. We're going to move the Brooklyn Nets to, if I can find them here, East Rutherford, New Jersey. We're going to put them back in New Jersey. And they are no longer going to be called the Nets. The Nets are going to be called Devils. So, and actually we're going to change this from East Rutherford to New Jersey. Alright, so those guys are done. And the next team in the Atlantic are the Raptors. So we're going to go over to the Raptors. We're going to change them. We're going to leave them in Toronto. But Toronto is no longer going to be the Raptors. They're going to be the Titans. Alright, so Toronto is done. So now we're going to move over to the, or we're going to save the Central for last. So we're going to go to the Southeast. And the first team that we're going to change are the Wizards. We're going to leave the Wizards in DC, but they're no longer going to be the Wizards. They're going to be the Warlocks. Okay, so we have the Washington Warlocks. The team abbreviation is the way I want it. Next up, the Orlando Magic. are going to stay in Orlando, but they're no longer going to be the Magic. They're going to be changed to the Florida. Whoops. And they're going to be the Fire-Breathing Dragons. And we're going to change the abbreviation to FL for teams named after states. We'll have the state abbreviation. Alright, so we got the Florida Fire-Breathing Dragons. I'm going to keep those changes. Next up are the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to stay in Atlanta. However, the Atlanta Hawks are going to be the Atlanta Zombies. You got to put zombies in Atlanta. Those of you who watch The Walking Dead and know why you got to put zombies in Atlanta, although there are zombies elsewhere. But leave the city name abbreviation. Okay, so after the zombies, what we're going to do is find the Hornets, and we're going to relocate the Hornets to Athens, Georgia. And they're not going to be known as Athens. They're going to be known as Georgia. And the name of their team is going to change from the Hornets to the Grim Reapers. I need a space in there. Alright, so those guys are the Grim Reapers. We're going to change the city abbreviation, the abbreviation to the state, since it's a state and team name. Okay, next up are the Miami Heat. They're going to stay in Miami, but they're no longer going to be called the Heat. They're going to be called the Mutants. They're going to be the Miami Mutants. Alright, I think that is the southeast. So now we're going to move over to the northwest, and we're going to go to Minnesota, to the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are going to remain in Minnesota, but they're going to be a different team name. They are no longer going to be Minnesota Timberwolves. They're going to be the Minnesota Mothmen. Okay, the Minnesota Mothmen. So next up, we're going to move the Jazz from Utah and we're going to put them in Vancouver. Two teams in Canada. And so they're going to be the Vancouver, keep Vancouver, Vampires. Whoops. Okay, next are the Thunder. People in Seattle are going to be happy because they're going to move the Thunder back to Seattle. However, they're not going to be the Supersonics. The Seattle team is going to be called the Seattle Sasquatches. Next up are the Nuggets. The Nuggets, we're going to rename those guys. We're going to leave them in Denver. But Denver is no longer going to be the Nuggets. They're going to be called the Denver Doppelgangers. Next are the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers are also going to stay where they are in Portland. However, they are no longer going to be called the Trailblazers. They're going to be called the Poltergeists. Okay, so I think that's the Northwest. So now we're going to move on to the Pacific. And in the Pacific, we're going to start with the Warriors. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move the Warriors from Oakland to San Francisco. However, they're going to stay the Golden State. And they're no longer going to be the Warriors. They're going to be the Goblins. The Golden State Goblins. I'm going to change the abbreviation to GS. Okay. Next, we're going to move the Kings and we're going to move those guys to Fresno, California, and they are going to be the Kings no longer. They're going to be the Furies, so the Fresno Furies. After the Fresno Furies, we're going to take, let's see, what other teams are there? We're going to take the Phoenix Suns. I gotta and we're going to relocate those guys to San Diego. And they are going to be the San Diego Sea Monsters. Next up are the Lakers in LA. They're going to stay in LA. However, they're no longer going to be the Lakers. They're going to be the Leviathans. So the Los Angeles Leviathans. Oh, we got to change their code here to just LA. Okay, so and I think the next one is the Clippers. So we're gonna move the Clippers from Los Angeles, and they are going to Oakland. And they will no longer be known as the Clippers. They're going to be known as the Ogres. Okay, so I think that's everybody in the Pacific. Now we're going to move on to the Southwest, and we're going to go to the Mavericks. Find them here. Mavericks are going to stay in Dallas. However, we're going to change their name to the Demigods. Okay. Next are the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are, there they are, going to stay in Memphis. However, they have a new team name. The Grizzlies are now going to be the Minotaurs. Minotaurs, however you say it. Okay, next up, we're going to move, let's see here. Well, let's just go to San Antonio, just the Spurs. And they are going to stay in San Antonio. However, we're going to change their name from the Spurs to the Satyrs. Then we're going to take the Pelicans, and we're going to move the Pelicans to Nashville, and they are going to be changed from the Pelicans to the Gnomes. Now the last team is in that division is the Rockets. Rockets are no longer going to be in Houston, but instead we're going to move them to Raleigh, North Carolina. And they are no longer going to be called the Rockets, but instead are going to be called the Wraith. Alright, so that should be the Southwest, I think. So now we move on to my division, which is going to be the Central. And we're going to start with the Bucks. And the Bucks are going to stay in Milwaukee. However, they're now going to be called the Wisconsin. Whoops. And they are going to be the Wisconsin Werewolves. Change their city name, or their abbreviation, to WI. So we got the Wisconsin Werewolves. Next up are the Bucks. Find them here. I'm sorry, the Bulls. Bulls are going to stay in Chicago. We are no longer going to call them the Bulls, though. We're going to call them the Shapeshifters. Chicago Shapeshifters. Moving on to Detroit. And we're going to do Cavaliers. We're going to move the Cavaliers from Cleveland to Cincinnati. And they are going to be the Cincinnati Centaurs. Okay, so now we got to find the Pistons. Find them here. There they are. Pistons are going to stay in Detroit. However, they are no longer going to be called the Pistons. The Pistons are now the Demons. Detroit Demons. And the last team are my hometown favorite, the Pacers. If we can find those guys. There they are. Pacers are going to stay in Indy. However, they're no longer going to be called the Indiana Pacers. They're going to be called the Hoosier Hobgoblins. That's a team that I'm going to be, the Hoosier Hobgoblins. So for this, we're just going to call this the Hobgoblin. Okay. So that's every team in the league. So I hope you can see the concept of the League of Legends. These are all legendary creatures. So let's go through each division here. In the Atlantic, we have the Boston Big Feet, the New Jersey Devils, the Bronx Boogeyman. Oh, that's Boogeyman. We got to change that. So let's go to Boogeyman. There it is. And we got to change that to the Boogeymen. Alright, let's go back to the standings here. So we got the Boston Big Feet, New Jersey Devils, the Bronx Boogeymen, New York Yetis, and the Toronto Titans. In the Central, we got the Chicago Shapeshifters, the Cincinnati Centaurs, the Wisconsin Werewolves, the Hoosier Hobgoblins, the Detroit Demons. Southeast, Washington Warlocks, the Atlanta Zombies, the Florida Fire-Breathing Dragons, the Miami Mutants, and the Georgia Grim Reapers. The Southwest, we got the Minnesota Minotaurs, the Nashville Gnomes, the Raleigh Wraith, the Dallas Demigods, the San Antonio Spurs. Northwest, Minnesota Mothmen, the Vancouver Vampires, the Denver Doppelgangers, the Seattle Sasquatches, the Portland Poltergeist. In the Pacific, we got the Fresno Furies, the Oakland Ogres, the Los Angeles Leviathans, the San Diego Sea Monsters, and the Golden State Goblins. And so that is the League of Legends. I thought it'd be an interesting concept since I got all fictional players, that I'd have all fictional team names. Now, the next step is to start branding these teams so that they represent, you know, because I can't have the logos and everything. So that'll be the next step in figuring out what to do. So I hope you like my concept of the League of Legends. In future videos, I'll talk about how we're going to rebrand each team and introduce the players on each of the teams. Hope you like that. Let me know in the comments what your favorite team name is. And I'm Coach 2K, and I'll see you on the court.